Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Rick9G. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the Jetsons. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Now, if you're a fan of the Jetsons, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and to see how old you were when you were watching the Jetsons back in 1962. Actually, it was between September 1962 and March of 1963 where we see the original Jetsons episode. Now, just a little refresher, if you're familiar with the Flintstones, they lived in a world which was pretty comical, pretty funny, and it was a version of the Stone Age. But they had machines that were powered by things like birds, dinosaurs. The Jetsons was just the opposite of that. Now, they were living in a similar comical version of a century of the future. A world of the future where we have things like robotic contraptions, aliens, holograms, floating cars, flying cars, and basically space travel is super easy. It is something that people loved watching those 24 episodes. Now, who are the people behind the voices of the characters we all know and love? Those voices that you hear and you instantly think of the Jetsons. Well, I'm going to work my way through the main cast, people that you want to know, and meet these individuals, and I'll run straight through. Hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, let me know if you want to see more videos like this, because after all, this is a cartoon channel, and it's great to see who's providing these voices. Let's begin with Rosie. Now, of course, Rosie is the maid of the family. She is the robotic maid, and she's a bit of an outdated model, but the Jetsons absolutely love her. They wouldn't trade her for any other newer model, no matter what. Now, Rosie does all the housework, she does a little bit of parenting, and she's also pretty strict when it comes to things. She even gives the family some pills every once in a while. Now, hopefully I say her name right. She is voiced by Jean Vanderply or Vanderpyle. One of those two, guys and gals. You can probably correct me in the comments below. Now, some may know who I'm talking about. Some probably have no idea. But if you are familiar with the Flintstones, well, yes, she was the voice of Wilma Flintstone. So that's really cool. Her voice is very familiar, and you get that robotic tone for Rosie. I think it works pretty perfectly. Now you know exactly who Rosie was. And now we'll move on to the lovable Astro. Now, Astro's, of course, the Jetsons' family dog. He's one of George Jetson's best friends, next to his, of course, work computer, Rudy, as well as Elroy's best buddy. He's capable of speaking in a rough-sounding English, very, very similar to how we have, yes, the amazing Scooby-Doo. Now, who does the voice of Astro? Well, yes, you guessed it. The same guy who does Scooby-Doo. That's Don Messick. Very, very cool. I'm so glad they were able to use him in the Jetsons as well. Now you may ask, why are some of these voices in these other cartoons, in these other classic cartoons? Well, remember, a lot of these that I do cover on this channel, like the Flintstones, which I'll eventually cover, the Jetsons, Scooby-Doo, they're all Hanna-Barbera productions. And so that has a lot to do with it. Moving on to Elroy, he is 6.5. Later moves on to about 8. So between 6.5 to 8 years old, one of the two younger children of the Jetsons. Now, he's very intelligent. He's an expert in things about space, and he's overall a good child. And Elroy is voiced by the very talented Daws Butler. Now, he was in other Hanna-Barbera productions, of course, including The Yogi Bear Show, as well as some Warner Brothers cartoons. Now we move on to the oldest child of the Jetsons, that is Judy Jetson. She's 15 years old, and she goes from about that age to 18 years old. She's a high school student, stereotypical teenage girl who, of course, loves clothes, hanging out with boys, and talking about all these featured technologies. She's pretty much the girl next door. Now, who voices her? And I'm really excited to bring this to Miss Janet Waldo. Now, why she is really cool, she, of course, was an actress on screen. That is, you could see her, and she was in an episode of I Love Lucy, which I prominently feature in many of my other videos on my main channel, Rick9G. So make sure to check those out. Now, I won't lie, I really wasn't going to cover him, but because of who voiced him, I really needed to. And he makes a lot of appearances in the cartoon. His name is Cosmo Spacely. Now, this is George's boss and the owner of Spacely Space Sprockets. Now, he's a short and small man. He has thinning black hair and a very bad temper. He's pretty much the antagonist, but overall he is quote-unquote a lovable character. He's a bit strict, of course, like a lot of stereotypical bosses and so forth, but he is played by the amazing Mel Blanc. Now, if you don't know, Mel Blanc is basically the king of voice acting. He played everything from Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and pretty much everyone in the Warner Brothers that you know about, Tweety. I can go on and on and on. He was the man. Now, moving on, we're gonna look at George's wife. Her name was Jane Jetson. She's 33 years old, and she's the mother of the 2 kids. She's a homemaker, and pretty much Rosie's the one who does all the work, but she's obsessed with fashion, new gadgetry, things like that, and pretty much she's a dutiful, great wife and mother. Now, she was played by the talented Penny Singleton. Now, I do want to note a quick cool fact about her. She died at the age of 95, so she led a very long and wonderful life in the entertainment industry.
Rosie.
And last but of course not least, the protagonist, the main character of the entire series, Mr. George Jetson. He was 40 years old, of course, as I mentioned, the husband and loving family man who always seemed to make the wrong decisions. He never had bad intentions in that sense, but he worked at Spacely Sprockets, and he of course was played by the amazing and talented George O'Hanlon. Now, George O'Hanlon did a lot of other things, including writing some episodes for the Flintstones. And not only that, he also was a guest star, well, not really a guest star, but an actor in one of the scenes of I Love Lucy. He played Charlie Appleby, that is the husband of Lillian Appleby, or Carolyn Appleby, one of Lucy's friends. And he was the second actor to play this part, replacing the first actor on the show. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys and gals. Thank you so much for supporting me. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new, you're watching the channel. It's a great way to support what I'm doing here. It's a great way to have growth and to put more content here later in the near future. We'll see you later, and don't forget, guys and gals, be hopeful.